You're with the Sunday Footy Show. It was a much-hyped round one between Brisbane and Collingwood last night. Dayne Beams' departure among the reasons for that. And Collingwood got under a few people's guards. They opened up a massive lead before hanging on in a tight one, Luke Ball, by 12 points.
They did, Hutch. It was a great effort. It's always tough to go up there and win in those conditions, especially early in the year, and the Pies were able to do that. And as we said, they ran out a bit of gas late in the game, but were able to hold off and had built a big enough lead. And now we cross up to Brisbane to talk to the James Dean of Footy, Dayne Beams. Beamer, thanks for joining us, mate. How did you go last night, coming up against your old team? It would have been tough, I know. Having done it a few years ago, how'd you go?
Yeah, it was obviously a different experience for me. So, build up towards the game. The club pumped it up a fair bit. We struggled to get a big draw card in Brisbane, so to get Collingwood round one was fantastic for the footy club. And unfortunately, we couldn't come away with the 4 points.
Talk us through it, Dane. Why such a bad start? You come home with a real rush, but what do you think went wrong in that first half?
I thought the first 5 minutes we started pretty well, and then we didn't convert a couple of early chances. And in this competition these days, if you don't do that, it costs you. And Collingwood were able to get on top, and for probably the next 2 and 3 quarters, they were a lot better than us. And we just left it too late. We were 50 points down, and it's always a long way back from there. And we just couldn't close that last 2 goals.
Well, I'll tell you where it started, Lloyd. In the greasy conditions it started, and the humidity, and then the rain came halfway through the third quarter. It was a contested footy, and Lepic mentioned it after the game. I think they were minus 30 at one stage, and then were able to turn it around in that last quarter and ended up about plus 15. And games like that, Hutch, it really does come back to basics and yardage. I was in the commentary box with Lee Matthews, and that's what his teams up there built their game around. And unfortunately for the Lions, probably the less vaunted Collingwood midfielders were able to get on top in the first 3 quarters.
The midfield of Collingwood, Beams, looked like they did it easy for the second and third quarters. There seemed to be a lot of lack of pressure from the Brisbane midfield. Did Leppard bring that up after the game? Because once you start to get your hands on the footy in the last quarter, it wasn't an issue, but second and third quarters, it seemed like a training drill at times for Collingwood.
Yeah, look, it's been a focus for us, to be honest, all year. I know last year we were really poor in contested footy. We were, right down the bottom. So for the whole NAB Cup, it's been our focus, and for the whole NAB Cup, we've sort of won that area, and it's been a real improvement for us as a footy club. And unfortunately, last night we let ourselves down in that area, and the last quarter showed that when you get on top in those areas, you win a lot of games. And it's a pretty simple thing. You win contested footy, you win a lot of games.
Hey, Dane, just want to ask you, a look at your goal kickers. Christensen 2, Rich 2, Green 2, and then all singles. Is a big issue for you at Brisbane that you have to try and manufacture goals throughout the year? How can you win multiple games and games on end having to do that?
Yeah, look, it's a good question, and we've got a couple of young guys, sort of waiting in the wings, but unfortunately they're probably not ready yet, and they need games into them. But it's up to us senior players to pitch in. Like you said, we got a couple of goals out of Bundy and Richie last night, and it's up to the rest of us midfielders to pitch in as well, because we can't leave it all to the young forwards, because as I said, they're not probably ready to go. They're not ready to kick bags of 5 and 6 yet, so we've got to help them out a little bit.
Yeah, that's going to be the problem all year. Hey, Dane, what about Tom Rodcliffe, mate? He looked really, really sore. He on the bench there looked terrible. Have you seen or spoken to him?
Yeah, I popped in to see him last night after the game. He was in a fair bit of pain, the big fella. So, I think he's broken his 9th, 8th and 7th rib. So he's broken 3 of them, and I think he'll be out for up to 4 to 6, whatever the club's reported.
And a punctured lung as well, so that's a big setback on his captaincy debut last night, no question about it. Dane, from a distance, you seem much happier as a Brisbane Lions player than a Collingwood player. Did you lose a bit of love of footy there last year? And what prompted the fresh coat of paint on your career to go to Brisbane?
I didn't. I'll never lose the love for footy. It's something that I love doing, but there was a lot of things outside of my life that were going on that were probably distracted me a little bit from what I was meant to be focused on. And I felt what was best for me and my family was to get up here and be closer to a lot of people that I love. And that was basically the story behind why I chose to come here. And there's no hard feelings towards Collingwood or anything like that. They gave me the opportunity to play AFL, and I spent 6 years there. I created a lot of good friendships and, won a premiership there. So it's a place that'll hold a special part in my life, that's for sure.
How did you feel last night going up against your ex-teammates? Was there much lip between the players on the ground?
No, not really. I thought about that before the game, and I get along with so many people there. It just would have been awkward, I reckon. So, there wasn't a lot, but I found that they know me pretty well. I wasn't allowed a lot of space, so I had my hand in the ice bucket all night last night because all I did was handball last night. So they definitely knew me. They know the way I play, so they were able to nullify me a little bit, I think.
And did you catch up with Dane Swan? Someone said after the game.
No, I caught up with a few of the boys before the game on the Friday night, and I miss listening to Swanee. He's a funny bugger.
Dayne, how different is football for you up in Brisbane? Because you've come from a powerhouse, the most loved, in some cases hated club at Collingwood. How different is it to prepare and play your football up there in Brisbane?
To prepare and play, I go about it the same way as I did when I was playing at Collingwood. I guess the difference is there's not as much external pressure as there is playing at a club like Collingwood. So, you take the good with the bad. I'm going to miss playing in front of big crowds and all that sort of stuff. The supporters are fantastic at Collingwood, so I'm going to miss all that stuff. But at the same time, really looking forward to the opportunity that I've got now with the Brisbane Lions. And
Beamy, your brother Clay, I thought it was probably the best game that I've seen him play last night. He must be enjoying having his big brother up there to play with.
Yeah, look, he's been tried in multiple positions, and as you guys know, he's had his fair share of injuries. And he's had a really good pre-season. I've been really impressed. I've never been able to see Clay train or the way he goes about things, and I've been pretty impressed with the way he goes about his pre-season. And he's pretty professional, Clay, so hopefully he can keep his body in one piece. He seems to have sort of nailed down that backline position now. And, he played well. It's probably the best game I've seen him play, so hopefully he can continue that form.
As we go straight into the votes now, and first one up for me, I went pretty lean on him. Sorry, Beam, I couldn't quite squeeze you in. Too many handballs, mate, as you said. But Big Brady Grundy, I thought it was the best game he's played for the footy club. Still side bottom, who was probably the best player on the ground until he broke his thumb, as we said a bit earlier. Taylor Adams, 7 votes. And Daniel Rich was a guy who really looked like winning the game for the Lions in that last quarter when he went into the middle. We said it a couple of times that I know he's had a pretty long layoff with his knee, but sometimes, being a bit cute with him across half back, you throw him into the middle and he was able to penetrate and kick long ball, kick 2 long goals in the last quarter and almost got the Lions over the line. And a big game next week against North Melbourne Sunday afternoon. Dayne, thanks for joining us.
No dramas, boys. Thanks.
Dayne Beams joining us on giving up a little bit of his Easter Sunday, which we appreciate.